Oh man. I tell you, I'm trying my hardest to become a matcha guy. That's probably one of the better matchas that I've made. But yeah, me and matcha don't get along like that, so that's actually not bad. Put a little oat milk in it, so, you know, trying to get there. We're trying to get there. But anywho, let me not ramble about stuff that don't matter. Let me actually get into the topic at hand of what I wanted to talk about. So, grand rising to all of my kings and queens doing tremendous things. I am Altitude, representing Building Never Minds, the hip hop workshop, and I'm renovating minds one rhyme at a time. And on this episode of Sound Check, I want to talk about a soft generation. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Also hit that notification bell to be updated on the latest and greatest content, and we're gonna get into it right after the intro. One. So, I had an interesting conversation the other day during a writing session, right? Talking to a good buddy of mine. We were working on a song, and you know, during the studio session, we got caught up in talking about this generation and the future generations to come. And he said something that caught my attention. He said, this is a soft generation. We're the same age. I'm 35, he's 35. I'm about to be 36 in a couple of months. He said, this is a soft generation. And even though I'm of this generation, a lot of people aren't built like me. A lot of people aren't built to handle the things that we had to go through and the things that we grew up experiencing and seeing. And I said, you're absolutely right. That's true. And to an extent, I believe them, and to an extent that I don't, right? Because it doesn't apply to everybody, because it would be stereotypical. So you don't want to say the entire generation, right? It would be like saying, you don't trust all women or all men are dogs, right? It's not everybody, but you're talking about the majority. So in this conversation, in this episode of Sound Check, subscribe by the way, I'm talking about the majority. I look around the landscape and the conversations that I have, the people that I talk to, that I interact with, when I go out to do shows and we're hanging out in the green room afterwards and we're just talking about what this generation is, what it experiences, what it's going through, and what it's going to become in the future. It is a little bit of a soft generation. I'm not saying that we have to do things like our grandfathers and great-grandfathers and, you know, everything like that before us, because times have changed. But we are living in one of the greatest generations of all time from an overall macro perspective, from a technological standpoint, from a financial standpoint, even though, you know, we're in the middle of a recession and a housing crisis and, you know, interest rates and property taxes are through the roof and all of this other kind of stuff, right? But at the same time, look back at the things that were not accessible, the things that were not invented or created, or the accessibility that we did not have in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. We live in such a great age from a technological standpoint alone, from a transportation standpoint alone, being able to pick up at a moment's notice and fly across the country as if it's nothing. Being able to be in a position where we can transition into any mode or medium that we want. Like, this generation is a little bit soft. I look at it as nobody wants to do the work. Everybody wants the rewards, but nobody wants to put the time in. And that's not how you succeed. That's not how you get ahead. That's not how you move forward in life. Because I promise you, you're looking for the soft life or a shortcut to success, and I promise you, you're not gonna find it. Women out here, you know, talking about they have sugar daddies, but then they're getting smacked around by them too, because they want all of the rewards and all of the benefits, but you gotta do something for that, and you're putting your life in danger while doing it. The problem with our generation is that nobody wants to take accountability for what it is that they're doing in their life. They want to get to the next level, but they don't even want to play the game. They want to complain about, you know, their boss on their job being overbearing to them. Well, I mean, do a couple of things that'll get them off of your back. You can't complain that you're about to get fired for being late if you're not willing to do the work to get up a little bit earlier and show up on time. You can't complain that the gig economy isn't really paying like it used to. You better get out there and hustle and do what it is that you got to do, because the gig economy, you can pick your own schedule, but that's also the lazy part about it, is that you can pick your own schedule. So if you're not a motivated go-getter, you're not going to succeed in that field. There are so many things that are at our disposal that would allow for us to succeed, but we don't put ourselves in a position to be able to go and get it. It could be $100 on the ground. If you're not willing to bend over and pick it up, well then it's just gonna sit there for the next person. But don't complain to me how you ain't got $100 in your pocket. You had the accessibility to go and get it, but you didn't want to do the work. We live in such a coddled, docile, cupcake, soft generation. This society today is just, it's honestly depressing from the standpoint that the kids of today are going to be our future. It's a gift and a curse, a yin and a yang, a positive and a negative, an action and a reaction. We have to be able to do the work to reap the rewards and the benefits. You can't just sit on the sideline but then complain every time you lose the game. If you want to win, you need to get in. My homie had a point about this being a soft generation, because for all intents and purposes, it is. You talk about people wanting to live a soft life. You talk about people having work-life balance. There's nothing wrong with work-life balance, but you got to be willing to work first. I know people right now that are, perfectly able-bodied, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a functioning mind, but they ain't willing to get up and go get a job. Living off of their mommy and daddy's dime. What you gonna do when they pass away? You gonna live off of the inheritance they give you? What you gonna do when they pass away and they don't leave you anything? I know people right now that literally, if their parents passed away in their 30s and 40s, they have no idea what it is that they are going to do, because they've been coddled their entire life. They've been sheltered from the world their entire life. And when I get on a platform and I say, put yourself in a position to where no matter what or who is in your life, you will be able to succeed because you did the groundwork and laid the foundation for yourself to be successful no matter what the circumstances. When I say that, we was in the studio and this one girl called that toxic masculinity. I said, how is that toxic masculinity? Just because I want what's best for my people. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything that I say on this camera or in my music. I love my people. I love my brothers. I love my sisters. But at the end of the day, every man is not a king and every woman is not a queen. And the Bible says that my people shall perish for a lack of knowledge. So if you aren't able to read between the lines and look at the playing field and see the difference, then you're going to be boo-boo the fool, and you're going to be calling me on the phone talking about woe is me and why did the world do what it did to me. When in all actuality, you did it to yourself because you wasn't even prepared to do what it was that you had to do to be the best version of yourself that you could possibly be. Get up, do what it is that you have to do, and stop complaining. That's the part that makes me mad about our generation. Stop complaining. Get up, take a shower, brush your teeth. Go get a job, go get a gig, go get a side hustle, start that business. Do whatever it is that you have to do to be able to go from a survival mindset to a thriving mindset. But I don't want to hear the complaining. I'm tired of it, fam. In 2024, I'm not trying to hear complaining. Yes, things happen that are out of our control, but it's just like I said in the last video. Focus on the controllables. I'm not worried about what the government's doing. I'm not worried about inflation. I'm not worried about tax rates. Only thing I'm worried about is what happens when I walk through this door and out this door and what's inside of my 4 walls. Control your spending, lower your lifestyle, work on your spirituality, become a better person. Learn how to treat others with respect. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Learn how to say excuse me. Learn how to have a level of discipline and decorum. Sometimes I look at people and I try to figure out what's wrong with them. What's wrong with them is that they have a lack of respect, not only for the people around them, but for themselves as well. I believe in this generation. I believe in the generations to come. But what we're not going to do is sugarcoat what we're seeing. Our generation has to do better. Our generation has to thrive and not survive. But it also starts up here. It starts in the mental. It starts with us learning how to play the game, proceed to the next level, and ascend and elevate into who it is that God has called us to be. No more being coddled. No more being docile. No more playing the victim when you were really intended by God to be the victor. I'm tired of it. And I'm not trying to hear any excuses. You have 2 arms, 2 legs, and a functioning mind. Go out there and be a go-getter. Go out there and tell the world that they are going to know your name. Put yourself in a position to where no matter what happens to you, you will succeed. That you don't depend on your parents. You don't depend on a relationship. You don't depend on a particular job. If your job lay you off, okay, cool. Because I did the financial discipline and responsibilities that I had to do in order to ensure that if anybody says anything I don't like, I could walk off of this job and it wouldn't affect my pockets not one bit. That's the position I'm putting myself in currently, right now. I don't need anybody to be happy. If I want you, I want you. But you better believe I don't need you. You want to know why? Because I was whole long before I ever came into contact with you. But that's toxic masculinity, right? No. That's called being a man and standing on principle and not letting anything get in the way of what it is that God intended for you to do. We got to be better as a society, as a people, and as a generation. Stop being soft. Stop being cupcake. Do what it is that you have to do to make sure that you're never in a compromising position ever again. This generation can make it. This generation can thrive. But it takes the collective. It takes all of us. It takes everybody standing up on a unified front and saying, we are here and we came to stay. With all of that being said, I'm finally off of my soapbox, doing my TED Talk, rant over. I won't go into any further detail about this point because I feel like y'all get the gist of what it is that I'm trying to say. Let's just be better and focus on the controllables and make sure that we are taking care of ourselves day by day so that we are not being dependent on anybody else for us to be the best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be. Enough said. I am Altitude, representing Building Never Minds, the Hip Hop Workshop, renovating minds one rhyme at a time. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell to be updated on the latest and greatest content. And until the next video, I will see you guys when I see you guys. Peace and one love.